Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for a Tuesday edition of the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk everything Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I am your host, Brady Vini, and has anybody really gotten the bad taste of the weekend out of their mouth yet? Yeah, me neither. Lots to talk about today. Probably some more questions than we have answers. More baffling decisions to come from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Those were all addressed and talked about in Mike Tomlin's normal Tuesday press conference that he has every single week during the season. What all he said, what he liked about the Steelers game from Sunday, what he disliked, and is he going to make any changes? We will all discuss to kick off the show here in a matter of moments. Also, we will talk about the Pittsburgh Pirates. They last night falling to the Chicago Cubs, and for the 10th straight season, they are shockingly eliminated from playoff contention. All of that and much more later on in the show we will get to this evening. If you are new here, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so that you never miss when I am live again. Also, I would greatly appreciate it if you hit that like button, share this live stream, and leave a comment in the comment section. Any thoughts, questions, or opinions that you have, I can pop up those comments on screen here at a moment's notice, and we can interact that way. Also, I would appreciate it if you went and gave the channel a follow at Steel City SR on Facebook, Instagram, and X. And be sure to come back later tonight for a new edition of SCSR60. The comments section we go right now. Echelon Motion Pictures. Welcome back, Echelon. Great to have you back here. And oh boy, here we go is right. Really not much going right sports-wise in the city of Pittsburgh right now. Talked about it a little bit yesterday there, Echelon. Pirates, they're not making the playoffs. They suck, even though they got Paul Skeens. It's not going to get any better just because of who owns and runs the team. The Pittsburgh Penguins, they're going to probably be bad this year, but hey, at least Sidney Crosby said he's staying here for now. The Pittsburgh Steelers, blown out at home, really. The final score wasn't as close as it really indicated. They just got whooped for 4 quarters straight. And my Pitt Panthers lost in the backyard brawl. So we are going through it here still on a Tuesday, trying to recover from the weekend here, Echelon. But hey, as we question, what the hell is going on with this Steelers team, especially maybe today, we got some answers. Mike Tomlin, Steelers head coach, speaking with the media and reporters like he does every Tuesday, doing his normal recapping of the game from Sunday, injury reports, looking ahead to this upcoming weekend's game, all of that he discussed today. Tomlin began off his press conference today saying that less than stellar was the team's performance, not just on Sunday, but to begin the season. Tomlin said, I always say 2 is a pattern. We've got 2 games under our belt. That 2 is a pattern, clearly signaling that major problems are going on with this team in many more ways than one. More on that here in a moment. Tomlin, right after that, before he got to the questions portion of his press conference, gave a couple of injury updates. First off, said that safety Deshaun Elliott, defensive end Derek Carman, and corner Joey Porter Jr., they are improving with their various injuries, but they are questionable at best. So all 3 of those guys missed the game over the weekend. Some of who in Harmon and really Porter and Elliott, for them going down early in week 1. These guys have not really played any real football. They're questionable at best, which kind of implies that it's a long shot for them to play this upcoming Sunday against the Patriots. But Tomlin, I'm sure, will have his whole "we leave the light on, door ajar" slogan thing about them possibly, having some magic remedy and getting out there. 2 guys who are definitely out for this upcoming weekend's game against the Patriots. To no surprise, Alex Highsmith and Isaiah Loudermilk, both of whom we said yesterday suffered high ankle sprains. Tomlin did mention that Loudermilk's is the more significant of the two. Highsmith reported from Ian Rappaport he is not expected to go on injured reserve. Loudermilk, that might be a different story. I expect him to be out multiple weeks, even well past the bye week. And then the last two injury updates that Tomlin gave today said that Patrick Queen and Darius Slay were both banged up after Sunday's game. Queen, we know he was dealing with a rib injury he suffered in the first half, fought through it the rest of the game. Darius Slay did not know that he had some sort of injury he was fighting through as well. Tomlin said that they will both be limited early in the week, but that they should play versus the Patriots. So that is the injury update for the Steelers from head coach Mike Tomlin. More on the game itself from Sunday against the Seahawks. The big question that Tomlin had to address, what the hell happened with Caleb Johnson on that kickoff late in the game that resulted in an easy score for the Seahawks? Tomlin, after the game immediately on Sunday, said that it was a young player making a mental mistake and that they practice kickoff situations, not that specific one, but that they practice kickoffs every day of our lives. His words exactly there. Talking more about it today, he said that the Steelers will probably not have Caleb Johnson return kicks in the short-term future, but that Tomlin is going to eventually give him a chance to earn that job back at some point this season. And this brings me back to what we were talking about yesterday with this whole, Caleb Johnson thing, is that why is he even out there to begin with? Honestly, is it just clearly Jaylen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell are ahead of him on the depth chart and are so far ahead of him in terms of producing in the NFL that you just don't want to have your third round pick catching cobwebs on the sideline? So I wonder if that's why they put him out there. Johnson, again, just 5 kickoff returns in his entire collegiate career. So didn't do it at all in college. Not only did he not do it in college, also college kickoff rules very much different than NFL kickoff rules nowadays. That was just a recipe for disaster. And, you could tell from game 1 against the Jets that Johnson just didn't have the burst or the vision to be a, solid punt return or kick returner. And unfortunately came back, bit him in the ass this past Sunday against the Seahawks. So Tomlin said he'll have the chance to earn that spot back, maybe with some practice and some better show for the rules. In practice, he might get back out there in a kick return role. I don't expect him to really play at all against the Patriots coming up on this Sunday. But interestingly enough, right before Tomlin's press conference, the first depth chart of this week for the Patriots came out, and Johnson still listed as kickoff returner number 2. I probably assume that will change soon enough. Couple other things from Tomlin coming up here in a moment, but real quick, back to the comment section. Echelon again, 2-parter. Caleb Johnson is not good, and he definitely shouldn't be on kick return because he is a power back. Yeah, he is a 3 yards and cloud of dust type of guy. He's 6'2", 200, 20, 30 pounds, something like that. I mean, it just seemed like a mismatch from the get-go. He's a guy that, if you want to build his confidence, which looking at his preseason tape, he struggled to do the things that he did at Iowa that got him drafted in the 3rd round by the Steelers. Just really demoralizing even more for his confidence that, A, he's not getting on the field. He's not the guy anymore like he was in college. And, now you go out there, you struggle to return kicks, and then you let one go past them in one of the biggest blunders that you will see across the NFL this season. Yeah, that's very rough for him. Their echelon. He's not that good in general. I know he's a rookie, but bro, you're telling me that he can't pass block, he can't catch consistently. He's slow, run scary, and he can't beat out Kenny G. But Najee sucks, right? Yeah, he does have all those problems. But I think with what the Steelers did with Jalen Warren, turning him into a number one running back from an undrafted, free agent position. I think that when they drafted Caleb, they had a ton of faith in Eddie Faulkner, their running back coach, to maybe coach up some of those things in him, and I can explain that why still can't catch consistently, but the slow running and all that is something that I don't know what happened there. Honestly, I don't, because anything that you saw from him in the preseason, and he's had maybe 3-4 carries in 2 games so far in the regular season. I do not know where it went wrong with him this early on in his career, that he's just not, showing the burst, the vision to find holes in the zone run scheme that he did in college at Iowa. So that's pretty, scary, honestly, like you said, and pretty concerning. I hope he figures it out, but I don't know which way he goes from here. I just want him almost to say, hey, stuff happens. Didn't have a good preseason. Ball got past me in the kickoff. Can't get any worse, right? Just go out there and play free is what I'm hoping from him now. Watch everything back from the preseason to returns. He is scared. He's not fast in general. The comp he played in college was slow. Of course, he looked fast. Yeah, and that goes back to his 40 time too. And that's what, some people got a little bit of, concern for, but it didn't match up with the tape. Had a slow 40, I think, in the 4.5s, and, looked much faster out there on the field, but I don't know what's wrong with him. Echelon, hopefully he figures it out. Maybe he just needs that, one big run or something in a game to free up his mind or something like that. Hopefully that comes sooner rather than later, because you cannot have your 3rd round pick from this past year just sitting on the sideline and, chalking it up as a wasted pick before his rookie season's even over. So hopefully things get figured out there. Back to the Mike Tomlin press conference today, aside from Caleb Johnson, who I'm sure reporters could have asked him all afternoon about. Tomlin addressed a couple other things. Starting on offense, he said, quote, "I feel great about it, to be honest with you." Do you know what he's talking about there? He is talking about the offensive line. I feel great about it, saying that about the offensive line. I'm not sure you can find a person within a 50-mile radius of Pittsburgh that likes the offensive line and how they've played other than Tomlin. Your left tackle, I mean, sure, he played better on Sunday. Tomlin even said so himself, said he played significantly better, but Jones could have been below average and it would have been significantly better from week 1. So don't get where Tomlin's getting at there. Jones, very, very bad week 1. Baby step, okay. Week 2, Isaac Seumalo can't really, run block. Zach Frazier got fed his lunch by Quinnen Williams in week 1. Mason McCormick has had his fair share of struggles, though he's probably been the quietest offensive lineman you've been talking about. And I don't think Troy Fautanu had that good of a game on Sunday. So where Tomlin is getting that he feels great about the offensive line, I do not see it. Maybe he was talking about that the offensive line is gaining traction in terms of consistency in the rushing offense. He said that. He said that he thinks the offensive line needs more time to gel and that they have to be a bit sharper in their combo blocks, timing, etc. So we feel great about it, but a long ways to go. Long ways to go, definitely. Feeling great about it. Not seeing it yet there, Mike, to be quite honest with you. On to the defense here. Wrapping up Mike Tomlin's biggest, noteworthy statements from his press conference today. He talked about the defense in two aspects. First off, he said that the run defense did a better job. His words exactly there. I agree with that sentiment for about the first quarter and a half of that game. They did, do better stopping the run, especially when Zach Charbonnet was in there for the Seahawks. Anything Charbonnet did, the Steelers plugged pretty well. Kenneth Walker, he only had, I think, maybe a couple gains of more than 6 yards at that point. But then second half hits, and Kenneth Walker looked like LaDainian Tomlinson out there. Had 8 yards per carry, over 100 yards rushing. I think it was 105 to be exact on 13 carries. So again, Tomlin said, we're doing better in these two facets, but it's really hard to have the common fan believe such a statement. Onto the back end of the defense here, Tomlin, much more critical of them, says that the secondary schematics and the concerns around the secondary are cohesion related because they're new to every player that was starting on the back end a week ago. Not good when you're talking about cohesion related, when you had all preseason to figure that out. I mean, yes, true statement. Juan Thornhill, Chuck Clark for most of the week one game and last game, Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay. There are a lot of new guys there. Brandon Eccles as well. Joey Porter Jr. out with injury. Deshaun Elliott out with injury. Two guys who were here last year. That doesn't help, but highest paid defense still. No excuse. And the talent is there. The schematics are just way more horrible than anything else there. So cohesion related. Got to figure it out quickly. So that's all I got to say. They need to be tighter in coverage. Tomlin said as well, that is very, very true. Guys wide open in the middle of the field. Darius Slay, step behind pretty much every single wide receiver he lines up against. So they got a lot to figure out in not all that long of a time span. We'll see what happens here coming up this weekend against the Patriots. Honestly, might be the first time this year where I predict the Steelers to lose. I mean, yes, they've had their successes against Mike Vrabel teams in the past, but this defense, I think, is just broken, and it's going to be a while, maybe even after the firing of Terrell Austin, that it gets fixed. So we'll see what comes of it. Back to the comments section here. A couple other questions and comments here from Echelon before we move on. Broderick Jones was apparently the best on Sunday. I do agree with that. Sure, Rodgers, got pressured a ton and got sacked again at least 3 times, one of which was probably on the receivers because they can't get open because, hey, no wide receiver too. But Jones, watching, I think someone put out there all 22 of his pass blocking snaps, he looked all right. Fared better, but not going to believe what I see until he starts doing it every single week here, which at this point he's going to need to if he's going to have a prayer of getting that 5th-year option. At this point, it is what it is. We are not serious. We need a wide receiver too. They get Isaiah Hodgins. The year before, we need a wide receiver too. We get Van Jefferson. Yes, still very evident for a wide receiver too. Calvin Austin, congratulations. You are the hardcore wide receiver too of this football team for about a week, 6 days, and then lost it right immediately. you know that you are in dire need of a wide receiver too. When I think there were just 2 catches, one by Calvin Austin, one by Roman Wilson, combined from your wide receivers not named DK Metcalf. So that's a problem. We are going to get into that Isaiah Hodgins signing today here after the in the extra Pittsburgh sports news segment there. Echelon, convinced we struggle with fast power backs. Everything else is whatever. I've said it once, I'll say it again. I'm blaming Cam. He begged all offseason. Well, blaming Cam for, everything on the defense. I mean, sure, he takes, I think, more blame than the other players because, he's the captain of that entire side of the ball. But I think majority of it, you don't have Cam Hayward and TJ Watt and Jalen Ramsey and all these high-profile, high-paid guys who have had success elsewhere in their careers or at different points in their careers. You don't have that collection, and they just all at the same time fall to crap. It's got to be, schematics more than anything here, whether it's Terrell Austin or Mike Tomlin losing his touch with calling and scheming up the defense. Cam did have a slow start there, begging all off season, but just very frustrating. This defense, this highest paid, historic. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, it was supposed to be a historic defense. Juan Thornhill said, "Look at all these guys around us. We are going to be historic." They give up 30-plus points in their first 2 games of the year. Peyton Wilson, I'm the best coverage linebacker, pass coverage linebacker in football. Can't do really anything because how many times did we see JSN or Cooper Kupp just go and plant their flag right in the middle of the field on Sunday and have no one around them to, tackle them, let alone try to bat the ball away. So that's annoying. TJ Watt, $41 million. He has no sacks in his last 6 games. Cam Hayward, like you said, Echelon, kind of goes against what I just said, saying it's all Tomlin, but he's a big part of it. We're going to have, Cam sit out the preseason, hold in, ask for more money, which he only got incentives, goes out there and lays a goose egg in week 1. Did have the tip drill. He played better in week 2, but still just all of this talk, and they back it up. I heard this statement. I'm not sure if it was yesterday or today on 93.7 The Fan, and it's a perfect definition of what this Steelers defense is. Oversell how good they are to you on paper, and then undervalue it on the field. Just, we've been talking about the same things. Going back to, what is it, Kelly, the head coach of the LSU Tigers, we're talking about the same things all the time. And will they change it? Probably not. We're going to chalk it up to injuries. Highsmith, Harmon, Porter, Elliott, all those guys. We're just going to chalk it up to injuries at the end of the day, and they'll take that scapegoat route. A couple other comments here. More people getting in on the comments section here. What is going on, guys? Hey, SESR, we keep Brian Flores instead of Austin. That's another thing that I, brought up yesterday. Brian Flores, you're going to see what he's all about here in 2 weekends when the Steelers fly over to Dublin, and watch, they'll probably end up getting their asses kicked by freaking Carson Wentz or whoever the hell is going to be the backup for the Vikings. But yeah, Brian Flores, I mean, you will not find a more popular position coach. Well, we count Danny Smith as a coordinator, special teams coordinator, but a position coach for the Steelers, you will not find a more popular one than what Brian Flores was as the linebackers coach here for a year. And it was clear he would have been a lights out, better coordinator than Austin, but I don't know what happened there. Did Tomlin, not want to relinquish too much control of the defense? Did he and Flores not see eye to eye on some things? But I don't know. But letting Flores walk and keeping Austin, just seeing how the Steelers defense has performed opposed to the Vikings defense over the past calendar year. Hard to say that they made the right choice in getting rid of Flores. Communication on defense takes time with so many new guys on the back end. Elliott's return will be huge. Hopefully Peppers helps too, and Benton gets overpowered constantly. Gonna start from the back of your comment here, Concepts, and work my way forward. Benton, I don't know if even kicking him out to defensive end at this point is gonna get him help. He just is overmatched every single time at nose tackle. And then if you kick him out to, defensive end, is he going to hold up any better against, tackles? Is he going to have any of the skill set to be an effective defensive end? I don't know. Benton, he's what, year 4 now? Yeah, he was in the draft class with Benton, he was in the draft class with Jones and Porter. Yeah, he was the 3rd round or 2nd round pick that year. I think we might already be, not because he's still, kicking and fighting with a good performance here and there. We're not going to, disqualify Broderick Jones as a hardcore bust yet, but Keanu Benton, first bust in the Omar Khan era. I think we might be able to write that name in Sharpie on him. Couple other things here. Echelon, love the comments. 17 of you in here right now. Welcome to the channel. If you are new, please hit that subscribe button. Up to 541 subscribers on the channel. So I appreciate each and every one of you here right now. Couple other comments here from Echelon. Nope, we're going to win. That's what happens. We look horrific. Then all of a sudden we win when we're supposed to lose. Talking about this upcoming weekend. It wouldn't shock me if they win, honestly, but for once, is it too much to ask as Pittsburgh Steelers fans just for once to see a clean, dominant performance where you can't, pick out one or two things throughout the game and say, oh, look, the Patriots, they really hurt themselves with this mistake here. No, just go out and punch someone in the mouth instead of, waiting to get punched in the mouth. Don't be risk averse. I'm taking shots early on Sunday to really send a message and wake up this team because it's really getting frustrating and it's hard to, come on here. I appreciate all of you in here right now just commenting and making it easier, for me here, but it's so hard to just come on here and talk about the same things all the damn time. Historically mid, says Echelon. Jamal McCollum, welcome Jamal. Our defense sucks right now. Man, that's some BS. It all is. We are in the middle of it right now. Oh, they're getting fried, very baked and screwed. What's up, Jamal? Facts, should have kept Flores. Agreed. Carson laughing in here. Tomlin needs to go. There's never any meaningful changes with him there. Agreed there, Carson. I think one of Tomlin's Achilles' heels is that he does not want to admit that he is wrong. You want the biggest, most glaring, neon-lighted billboard case of that? How freaking long do you remember that we had to sit through and suffer through the Matt Canada offense? If Matt Canada was the coordinator of any other of the 31 NFL teams, he would have been canned within 6 months on the job. I'm not even joking. But Tomlin wanted to, always be able to sit through. He always wants to sit through 5 good things if that means one, or 5 bad things if that means one good thing comes from it. And it's frustrating. Erica Awana in here. Welcome. Eric Awana, my bad. Time to give some money back since the minute they had a good year. They demand more despite still being under contract. Talking about the highest paid defense in the NFL by a lot, too. Let's not forget that. It's by a lot. I think by a good $20-30 million, something like that. Yeah, time to give more money back. If they could, if that was an actual option, they'll never do it. But it's frustrating, especially, the past off season, like Watt getting more money. That was kind of inevitable because the Steelers, they didn't want to let him go somewhere else and be good. But, Cam Hayward doing his whole thing, that's what really pissed off fans like you and I and all of us in here, Eric. The whole, Cam sitting out for, a month saying, I want more money. I had an all-pro season last year. Okay, well, last year was last year. And how did last year end? We fell apart down the stretch. Cam, you were there for that. And we went out and we got our faces caved in by your most hated rival. Cam, you were also there for that. And then you have the audacity to come back and ask for more money. That's why I'm happy that the incentives are purely playoff related. Make the playoffs, win a playoff game. Then you can be, earning at least a little bit your moniker of highest paid defense. So I agree with you there, Eric. Echelon W chat. Truth in here. Omar's draft, if you look closely, really no great players coming from them. Yeah, true. I mean, I'm not gonna look them up. I'm just gonna go off the top of my head of all the top ones here. Broderick Jones. Tomlin and the coaching staff really screwed with him, put him at right tackle, kept another human turnstile and Dan Moore Jr. over there at left, didn't just, bite their losses and put Jones over there in front of Dan Moore. So there's, nothing great. Number one, Joey Porter Jr., solid rookie year. Then second year, couldn't keep his hands to himself. Third year, up to this point, not really any sort of tape to go through. He's been injured. Darnell Washington was there. I mean, looks like a hell of a tight end, but they don't use him enough, in my opinion. Or a couple other guys there. I forget Nick Herbig, which, he's now going to get an increased opportunity with no Alex Highsmith, but he's really like Aaron Rodgers mocked him for, a one-trick pony speed rusher who, is pretty much best where he is in the current depth chart of things as a guy who just comes in for 15 or so snaps a game. Let's go 2 years ago. Troy Fautanu. Yippee there. Have nothing really to talk about with him. Was injured all of last year. Has had a meh start to the season this year. Why am I forgetting? Zach Frazier. That's probably the best draft pick that Omar Khan has made up to this point. Zach Frazier. And we are anointing him as the next great center for the Steelers. I'm willing to give him that title for now, but I still want to see him, not have any sort of a slump this year. There's a couple other things, but yeah. And then this year, Derek Harmon, injured. Nobody's seen him. Caleb Johnson in Tomlin's doghouse now, even more so than being the clear RB3. Just, yeah, not going good for Omar's draft classes, which I do want to, say, like, when draft classes happen, let's wait a couple of years before we, hardcore stamp people with busts and stuff like that. Broderick Jones, you're like holding that pen of writing bust next to his name about 2 inches from the paper, but I'm still not gonna put it in Sharpie yet. So name one young player on the Steelers who is Pro Bowl caliber. Zach Frazier, assuming that he doesn't have any sort of slide back. Sure, had a tough matchup in Quinnen Williams, but he does have that potential in there. Be the aggressor. A lot of comments in here right now. I appreciate all of you commenting, and I do apologize if I do not get to them all. Mr. Pitt 73. It's going to be a deja vu season indeed, Mr. Pitt. They'll probably end up, maybe going on a little bit of a hot streak here, which they have the opportunity to figure things out and win at the same time. Like, their struggles right now, they have a golden opportunity in front of them to where they can still struggle and iron out some major problems over the next couple of games and hopefully not, fall out of any sort of contention for the playoffs. Because now you're going up against the Cincinnati Bengals twice without Joe Burrow. The Browns are the Browns with their quarterback situation. J.J. McCarthy is hurt for the Vikings. The Patriots, I mean, yeah, we got them coming up. I think they're better than what we all think they are, but still second-year quarterback in Drake May that you might be able to get into the head of a little bit. They got a chance in front of them, but will they take it, or will it be are the problems too big to fix and win at the same time? That's what we're gonna find out. Mark the Shark here, welcome, Mark. Should they bring up Trey Sermon? At least he's not afraid to take a hit. I did hear about that. Unfortunately, football isn't like any of the other sports like baseball or hockey where you can, call guys up and send guys back down without, any sort of issue. But I think you only have so many elevations from the practice squad in a regular season. So I would bring up Trey Sermon because I think he can both be, a solid RB3 while Johnson figures things out if, God forbid, Kenny Gainwell or Jalen Warren go down. And also, Trey Sermon, doesn't he bring a little bit of kick return abilities as well? That wouldn't be the worst thing to come up here right now and do. So we'll find out. A couple of other things here. DLC here. Relax. They are 1-1. The season is not over. Slow your roll. I'm not, gonna say anything that the season's over. I'm just saying we are sounding the alarms two games in. The base has been infiltrated here from within. A lot of fires need put out before, they spread and burn the whole thing down. But yeah, we're at 1-1. Very clear path ahead, going up against some teams with quarterback issues right now. But these problems that keep reoccurring, the more they go on, the more they become worthy of, really, really massive blow-ups here. So 9-8, I guess, should have drafted Paris Johnson Jr. Yeah, what draft was that? Was that 2 years ago? Or was that Broderick Jones' year? I do remember Paris Johnson Jr. Ohio State Buckeye, right? I think he went in the top 10 somewhere. So losing Highsmith and Elliott killed our run defense. Best tacklers on the team, in my opinion. Elliott stopping the run, yeah, maybe. I think he's a guy who's, I'm going to do whatever it is, even if that's at the detriment of my health, to go in there and stop the run. However, Highsmith concepts, I really, at this point, am not going to give Highsmith any credit of being, a good tackler or run defender. There's a reason why, if for 2 straight weeks now, you look at, I think it's NFL's, StatCast or whatever the hell they have, and they show the running lanes of all the runs against the Steelers. Guess where all of them are going? To the left. We're running right at Alex Highsmith. We're running right at Cam Hayward because we're not going to run TJ Watt's way. So when they run it at him, Highsmith, he's had more than enough opportunities to stop the run, hasn't done it yet. So concepts, that's where you and I are going to differ there. He hasn't done anything to stop the run up until this point. Eric Awana here again. Way too much talent on defense to be this bad. It has to be the coaching scheme or defensive style. Austin has to go. This is continuing for our free fall on D last year, carrying over. I do agree. Terrell Austin has to go. Really that collapse at the end of the year I think if you ask a majority of the NFL teams out there, if you at the end of the season collapsed with like 5 straight losses and your team just got, their faces ran through every single game, I think a ton of other teams would say, yeah, defensive coordinator, he's probably going to be shown the door in that situation. But defense is talented. The scheme is bad, but we're not completely absolving the talent from sin here, because at some point, talent out, as much talent as you have out there on the field, regardless of how bad the scheme is, you got to go out there and you just got a ball. So we'll see what happens here. Will the talent finally, overcome the bad scheme, or will the scheme change? Those are the only two ways that this defense is going to get fixed at this point, I think. Barry Foster made the same mistake as Caleb back in 1990. Foster's rookie year, he then became a very good player. I'm hoping that it's just, maybe a couple brain farts and then he takes off into superstardom. I'm not going to, write off Caleb Johnson 2 regular season games into his career here. It's a rotten start, but I just, hope for his case that he's mentally tough. If I'm him, I'm just saying, you know what? I'm a third stringer. I just messed up, one of my only opportunities to get on the field on kick return. What's the worst that can happen? It's only going up from here. Go out there, mind clear. Finally, please, Caleb Johnson, I haven't seen it yet. You're 6'2", 220, 210, something like that. You're bigger than, the corners that you like to pop outside to, and just as big as some of the linebackers. Go run through someone. Take a, page out of Jalen Warren's book when he came out. If you're, not going to get, if you're, things are going bad, you're not getting too many opportunities, just go out there and at least show that, you're in the fight spiritually and set an example, run through someone. I hope things do turn out well for Caleb Johnson, but just like I said, I think, over watching Mike Tomlin over the years, when rookies make mistakes, very hard for them to, get a chance to reprove themselves. Man, get off the gas with Zach Frazier, says Jamal McCollum. He's not a Pro Bowler. He's been getting beat up the last few games going into last year. It's not to say that the potential, isn't there. I think we all saw that, he last year for a long stretch of it was the least to worry about on that offensive line. Honestly, might still be, depending on Broderick Jones doing his Jekyll and Hyde impersonation over there at left tackle. Sam Alu's getting old. Mason McCormick. What more? What do you want really from a 5th round right guard? And Troy Fautanu still learning his way in the NFL. I'm not saying, he has Pro Bowl potential. Is he a Pro Bowler yet? No. Is he still, even, going up against some really tough opponents? You're talking about in this stretch here, Zach Frazier. He's going up against guys like Chris Jones, Quinnen Williams, Byron Murphy, who was a 1st round pick a couple of years ago. He went up against this past weekend. The Pro Bowler potential is there, but even he, he's going to struggle against those guys, and he's just in his 2nd year. The potential is there. I'm not going to knock the last few games on him too much when there are glaring holes all around him on both sides of him on the offensive line. But yeah, we'll see what happens with, Frazier moving forward. Definitely not the biggest issue right now. If that's the biggest issue on this team, then that means a whole lot better. More is going right in some really sketchy places right now. Last comment for right now from Echelon. Tomlin will find a way to lose against all those quarterbacks you named. Oh, yeah, that's seems to be the Mike Tomlin way. Because if we remember, we don't have to go back too long. Remember, I think this was one of the final years that Ben was playing. They made, what was his name? Finley from Cincinnati look good. Hell, we only need to go back, a year or two here, when Bailey Zappi And the freaking Patriots, who were about to play, went into Acrisure and they put up like 3 touchdowns to begin the game like it was nothing. So the chance is there. The opportunity is there. They're in a good place to win and fix issues, on the fly here. But I still do not doubt that there is one stinker in there where they may lose to a Carson Wentz or a Jake Browning or something like that. So we'll see what comes of it there, Echelon. Owl on the prowl, we stink. Never heard a coach get blamed as much as the players. Send me help. I hope when Deshaun is healthy, Jabril Peppers starts at free safety and Elliott starts at strong safety. Jabril Peppers playing free safety, I don't think that is a possibility. He is pretty much the exact build, if not a more hardcore, go up there near the line of scrimmage and stop the run safety than Elliott is. Pass coverage is not his strong suit, so if any chance you get to keep him away from doing that a bunch, you kind of have to do it. Roman Wilson and Scotty Miller had good training camps and preseasons. What gives? We don't even give them a chance or throw them their way. What gives? Week 1, you really didn't need, to see much from them when Metcalf and Calvin Austin were doing their thing. But going back to this past weekend's game, at times there, the game was, in hand, but then it turned into a blowout. With the offense struggling like it did, why not give a shot to Miller and Roman? I mean, invested a 3rd-round pick into Roman. Rodgers spoke highly of him in the preseason. Scotty Miller, he was supposed to be this Ryan Switzer, guy who, never lit up the stat sheet, but was always in the right place at the right time as a safety valve. I don't know what gives. Maybe just trying to. Yeah, another thing that goes with that is that they always do a lot of 12 personnel. So, and in that echelon, they are small. They are very small. I think what Cal is like 5'8". Scotty Miller is like 5'9", and Roman Wilson might be 5'10". So you got 3 of your 5 wide receivers all below 6 feet right there. Echelon, this sucks, bro. The good news is we are losing. Pats own us, picking the Pats this week. The good news is we are losing. That wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. This all-in off-season has set our expectations towards, all right, let's see if we not only make the playoffs now, but if we can get a couple of wins. But if this blows up spectacularly in their face, wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, because that gets Terrell Austin canned, probably. Hell, if it even goes bad enough, Mike Tomlin might finally, for the first time since he got hired, be on a little bit of a hot seat. You'll have very notable changes to that expensive defense. I'm talking about guys getting shipped off, and you'll be in great position to select a difference maker, the difference maker of all difference makers in the NFL, which is an elite quarterback. I like Mike Tomlin. I think he's a great guy. He's been a good coach for us. It's just time for another change. It's running stale. I'm like you, Al. I like Tomlin. Seems like a good guy, but what were his defining qualities as a coach back when he started the job? It was Tomlin was, a good defensive guy, defensive first head coach, and he was a great motivator. Both of those things have not showed up at all going back to at least halfway through last season, where the defense got their teeth kicked in, and you had, Kirk Herbstreit during the Ravens game saying, "I see no fight from this team." So yeah, Jamal Tomlin guy, Tomlin for life. This team right now reminds me of the team we had before Chuck Noll retired. Going back that far, huh? Out of the prowl. Steelers want to run 12 personnel. You need big bodies. Smallest type of player you want is an Amon-Ra type. Other than that, you want George Pickens, DK types. Well, agree with that, unless, you get the baggage that comes with a George Pickens. The message has clearly gotten stale in the locker room. Everyone is too comfortable, and nobody is scared of losing their job. Couldn't have said it better myself, Echelon. Sawyer is looking good when they play him. Yeah, had it all right game yesterday there. Royer, I think, got a sack? Which, by the way, how hilarious is that? I know it's just 2 games in, but Jack Sawyer got a sack before TJ Watt this year. How hilarious is that? Don Shula stunk before he retired. Same with Tom Landry. Coaches get stuck in their ways. Yep. Goes back to that, what are the adjustments that are going to be made? Are they going to adapt at all? Seems like Tomlin's stuck in his way. Still in a NFL that, for maybe pushing a good 5 years now, has been, hey, you still need a all right defense to go all the way, but your offense needs to be a top 10, bare minimum top 10, probably even top 5 unit to, have any sort of long-term sustained success in a season. And the Steelers, while the NFL is zigging, the Steelers are zagging, and it's not working right now. I'm going to get a Joyer Sersey. That's all right there, Royer. That's a good one. Bet you a big Buckeye guy there, Royer, I wonder. Watch, they put Darius Slay on Stephon Diggs, and he gets fried. Oh, not sure if you guys heard that. Some unk-on-unk crime right there. 2 guys past their prime going at it. Who will win? That'd be hilarious if they put Slay on Diggs. That'd be funny. But yeah, not going well here. And I'm glad that this is now, turned into a, sort of therapy session here, us talking about the Steelers' problems and trying to find the light. When they gonna play Harmon? Right now, still injured with that MCL sprain. Missed the first 2 games. Tomlin said today in his press conference that Deshaun Elliott, and Joey Porter Jr. will be questionable. But from what it sounded like with Tomlin, it's still going to be a long shot for them to play. At this point, I think it'd be very hard for me to see Harmon make his NFL debut, forcing him to have the long travel going across the pond and playing the Vikings. So maybe after the bye, you finally see Harmon. But then again, also you have like the urgency to fix this defense, and you got to see if he can be any better than freaking Isaiah Loudermilk or Keanu Benton at this point. Yep, very true, Alan Prowl. Seen a stat that defense is 29th in almost every category. Yep, that sounds about right. Their echelon, that sounds about right. But that does it for talks about, Tomlin's press conference today. Once again, said that the Steelers, 2 is a pattern with them laying stinkers out there on the field. Says that he's optimistic moving forward about the offensive line and the run defense. We do not see it. And Steelers defense still very much banged up. So it will be fun watching Nick Herbig and Jack Sawyer split reps over there at right outside linebacker. You'll see Y.A. Black a bunch, which, man, the preseason wonderment with him surely rubbed off fast. Yeah, lots of holes in the defense. Still the highest paid defense in the NFL, so they have little excuses going their way. A. Brown was tiny, yes, but what A. Brown had was some of the most elite skills receiving and route running wise that you will ever see. And say what you will about him post-career, during his career with the Steelers, Antonio Brown, he was one of the hardest workers ever. 6th round pick out of Central Michigan. given nothing in the NFL. He busted his ass and he became one of the GOATs because of it. I do not see a single defining trait that is in the 90th percentile from any of the other wide receivers in that wide receiver room right now. I mean, DK Metcalf has drop issues, but that size at that position with that speed you cannot teach. Calvin Austin, he's just a fast guy. You can go out there and find fast wide receivers a dime a dozen. Roman Wilson, I think one of the biggest things from him in college was that he was a nice slot guy who always played bigger than his size, but we haven't seen it yet. Scotty Miller, if it hasn't worked at this point in the NFL, he's 28, 29 years old. Chances are it's not going to work. So, yeah, Antonio Brown, yeah, he was tiny, but he had some elite skills that these guys just clearly do not have. All right, ladies and gentlemen, 10 of you in here right now. Welcome to the live stream. Let me take a quick look here. We are up to 543 subscribers on the channel now. So I appreciate the 2 new subscribers who hit that button so far through the live stream tonight. Gonna get back to your comments here in a second, guys. I do see them. You can feel free to keep letting them roll in, and maybe I'll get to all of them here a little bit later on. But do want to keep this live stream tonight on the rails at least a little bit here. We're gonna change gears here just for a quick second, talking about some baseball. We do cover the other 2 Pittsburgh professional sports teams on this channel. And we are going to talk right now, just for a couple minutes, about the Pittsburgh Pirates. They last night playing game 1 of their series against the Chicago Cubs. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to, give you any sort of master analysis breakdown of what the game went on. At this point, while I'm here, doing work for the channel, I just have it on the TV here to my right for background noise. But the Bucs last night, at home against the Cubs, 4-0 loss. Sounds like it wasn't even close. The Pirates offense could do nothing. I think, I don't even know who pitched. Maybe Mike Burrows or something pitched. Braxton Ashcraft, something like that. But the Bucs got down early, never even really gave a fight to that Cubs lead until it was too late. I know they did have bases loaded with 2 outs in the 9th. Jared Triolo then very easily struck out. So with that loss, the Bucs now, ladies and gentlemen, as you see on your screen here, for the 10th straight year, eliminated from playoff contention. They are now tied with what at one point this season was on pace to be the worst team in baseball history, the Colorado Rockies, for the most times shut out this season in the MLB at 16. This also puts the Bucs at 21 games under 500, which kind of ironic seeing how yesterday was Roberto Clemente Day. So we talk about how bad the Steelers are here, and we're probably still going to talk about that in the comments section here for throughout the rest of the show. But as much as we talk about, how terrible things are for the Steelers right now, just remember, for those of you in here that are just Steelers fans and have really no care or affiliation with the other 2 professional sports teams, at least they're not the Pirates. The Pirates are the Cleveland Browns of the MLB. 21 games under 500. Way out of a wild card contention spot for 3 months now. Terrible start to the year, terrible middle of the year, terrible end of the year. Everything sucks. Owner is a cheapskate. The GM is a moron who thinks he's a super genius. And they're doing all of this having one of the greatest pitchers, a unicorn. They have a Lamar Jackson type player in Paul Skeens. And yet they put it's like saying the Pirates, they have Lamar Jackson of a pitcher, but the group that they put around him, all right, Lamar, you got let's see here. You got Scotty Miller over there. You got maybe a couple washed up guys over there. Just it's all guys who either suck and will not figure it out in the majors, or old has-beens well past their prime. So, yeah, that does it for the Pirates. They're eliminated, unfortunately, for until the end of the month here. We're still going to talk about them until this season mercifully comes to an end. The Bucs here in about 6 minutes. They're going to begin Game 2 of that series with the Cubs. Let me real quick. Do we have a lineup out for the ball game? I say that as if it even matters. Let's look here. Where are the Pirates? And do they have a lineup? They either have it out like 2 hours, 3 hours before the game, or they take, up to 8 minutes. Here it is. Jared Triolo, Spencer Horwitz, Brian Reynolds, O'Neal Cruz, Nick Gonzalez, Jack Sawinski, Nick York, Alexander Canario, Henry Davis. The most disgusting bottom four of the lineup that I've seen so far this year. Sawinski, York, Canario, Davis. They say that they want to win, but they sure as hell don't even pretend to, show it. Also, for those who may care, tonight, Paul Skeens on the mound. Happy Paul Skeens Day. He'll probably go out there, throw, 6 innings, a shutout ball. And then the bullpen will give up, 2 runs. The Bucs will lose the game 2-1. We've seen this story before. Manager Donnie Kelly for the Buccos did say that this will probably be the final home start of the season for Paul Skeens. He also doesn't expect Skeens to throw Sunday against the Oakland Athletics. As for Skeens tonight, he will likely have a pitch count range somewhere in the 80s or 90s, but it's hard to say ahead of the game, says Kelly. So enjoy Paul Skeens tonight, because that'll probably be it for the season at home, at least. Also, the Pirates made a roster move. Catcher/first baseman Rafael Flores, who was the headline prospect that came back in the David Bednar trade deadline deal. He got called up, so we get a first look at what we gave up our all-star closer for. Infielder Leo Piguero was sent down, and as if you didn't doubt the Bucs, if you doubted the Bucs saying, oh, they're not going to make moves to, save more money, they are the biggest penny pinchers of all time. Rule 5 draft protected now is Rafael Flores with this call-up. And the Pirates' payroll only goes up a mere $11,000. So, saving money any way they can there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get into the extra Pittsburgh sports news here in a couple of moments. Going to get back into some football talk as well. Back to the comment section here real quick. I probably will not get to them all, so I do apologize to those of you who do comment. Al the Prowl subbed. Thank you very much, Al. Even Renegade Omni pumped up the Seahawks as they drove right down the field. You saw that video too. I did not have that in my content today. Yes, everyone, for those of you who don't know, Renegade plays. We all have known for years, Renegade has superpowers. The Steelers defense, they get a big turnover or something like that when Renegade plays. The Seahawks, like they were at a Styx concert, jumping up and down, waving their white Gatorade towels like they were fans in the crowd. And then they, went right down the field like a hot knife through butter. So even Renegade can't help this team right now. A couple of other comments here. Echelon, boo the Pirates. Very much Echelon. Yep. At the start of the game, the crowd was so amped up and loud. Then our D lets them walk right down the field and score. And not only that, that was the first time in 22 games that the Seahawks have done that there, Eric. So historically bad. Continues that trend there. Dodgers probably going all the way, and I hate the Dodgers, says Al the Prowl. I don't know. They always deal with injuries. Like, I'm pretty sure they have the same strength and conditioning staff as the Pirates, where they just, they buy talent and they buy it all the time. They replace bought talent by buying more talent, but seems like every single year they have like 3 solid pitchers go down with Tommy John or shoulder injuries. They got a couple of players banged up, so we'll see. It's always what team for baseball playoffs. It's always what team has pitching, and when they get hot in the postseason. Echelon again. Pittsburgh sports is in the doghouse. Did we become Detroit sports? It's a nice comparison, except we don't have an NBA team. Let's see here. Pirates, they always sucked. The Penguins, yeah, honestly, maybe in the baseball and hockey sense, Pittsburgh is at a Detroit time because the Bucs, like the Detroit Tigers, except the Detroit Tigers are now good now. Small market teams, bottom feeders amongst the, big wallet teams in the MLB, but especially the Penguins. You're talking about, back in the early 2000s and 2010s, the Detroit Red Wings just being a superpower team, winning Stanley Cups left and right. The Penguins, they had their run of a dynasty from 2009 to like 2017. And now they're, pretty much in the same space as what the Red Wings were back in 2013. Bunch of old players that they are holding on to for sentimental and nostalgia reasons. And then probably a dark, rebuild ahead of them, which the Red Wings are maybe now starting to come out of. So at least in that part. But the, Steelers sucking, I don't really compare that to the Lions because up until 3 years ago, the Lions, they were as big of a laughing stock in the NFL as the Browns were. So I hate to admit it, says Snapperhead 369. Welcome, Snapperhead. Hate to admit it, but it's to the point that I would rather have the Steelers lose. A 5-12 season might be the only thing that causes real changes. My words exactly there, Snapper. I said that, even though the Steelers made their all-in moves, let's bring in Rodgers, trade for Metcalf, trade for Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith, sign Darius Slay. Even with them doing all of those, all-in moves, I said, just please either either really win, like at least an AFC conference, final, or completely suck to where you're somewhere, maybe even inside the top 10, but buzzing around that area so you can trade up and get a quarterback next year. Just one extreme or the other. That's all we're asking for. I honestly do not care because it gives you joy as a Steeler fan either way. We're either so bad that we can finally, solve our quarterback problem with a very high draft pick and a guy with some actual, traits and physical abilities, not a Kenny Pickett 20th overall, or go all in, win some more, go to the AFC Championship, and hey, we can always look back on it and say we were one win away, from going back to the Super Bowl again. Then you have morale at an all-time high then, and maybe you even, start recruiting more guys to the team to help you push over that edge. So either or would be all right, Snapperhead. May forget that. Go all in and get Tyreek. Tyreek, says Jamal. Yeah, well, reports were, or at least rumors, I think, from Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk was that the Steelers and the Chiefs, they're the 2 top teams to go get Tyreek. The Dolphins then said that no team has called them yet. Could be a possibility. That would be, an all-in move. I'm only doing it, for no more than a 4th round pick. The Steelers, even if they, do their whole shtick, 9-8, get blown out in the first round of playoffs, they need all the top 3 round picks that they can get because you got a ton of good quarterbacks in this draft class. Even if one somehow falls outside the top 10, you can use a bunch of those picks, package them all up, and go get the quarterback then. So Tyreek would be an interesting addition. He would, I know we just criticized the likes of Calvin Austin and Scotty Miller and those guys for, being small, but at least Tyreek Hill not just brings speed, he brings something that this team is lacking a lot right now, and that is the ability to run clean routes and get open, which Hill, even though he's aging, I think is still one of the best at. So that would be an interesting add. You do bring in baggage with him, but hey, maybe Mike Tomlin is still a good enough coach to where he can take troubled talent and just get more talent than trouble out of them. Echelon Motion Pictures. Drew Aller will help, hopefully. Not saying that yet. I do like Drew Aller. I do like that he is a big quarterback, sort of like a Josh Allen physical build to him. However, I don't care that he's beating up on FIU and frickin' Nevada and whoever the hell else Penn State has played, which is, Coffin Baby going up against whatever. I got to see him go against an Oregon or, Ohio State, just some other massive college football brand, and have him and his coach, who is really the bigger problem here, go against a team that is maybe better than you or is at least on par with you and beat them for once. That would make me a hell of a lot more in favor of drafting Drew Aller. I got to see him rise up in the biggest games and not pee down his leg. Tyreek probably going back to KC. Yeah, if he does get moved at the trade deadline and he has he has his, option, his choice of going, why would he want to, come to Pittsburgh where, you only got Aaron Rodgers for a year? Go back to a familiar situation with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes in an offense that you were already in. So, yeah, I think if he's going to get moved, it is going to be KC. I put it a solid, 90 to 10 ratio, Hill going back to Kansas City over going anywhere else. Al on the prowl again. QB is not our problem, in my opinion. We need to completely rebuild our O-line and D-line. We need to become a 21st century team. Well, I mean, say what you will about Aaron Rodgers. I mean, first game he did all right. Second game he, was rough, but I still don't, put him as the biggest issue from that game. QB isn't a problem right now, but when Rodgers rides off into that sunset after the year, it's going to be a problem then, because then you got Mason Rudolph and Will Howard and maybe by then Skylar Thompson on the team. And you're not going to have either of those three guys be the starter next year. So QB is not our problem now, but it will be soon enough. And also, we need to completely rebuild our O-line and D-line. At some point, you got to change something here, because what you drafted Broderick Jones and Troy Fautanu and Zach Frazier on the offensive line within the past 3 years. You drafted Keanu Benton and Derek Harmon. You should be done rebuilding the offensive line and defensive line. It's time to go get the quarterback now, because the quarterback, if you go out and you really hit on a rookie quarterback, guess what? Then he, even better than Aaron Rodgers, who is one of the all-time greats, but he's regressing. He's not mobile. No, well, I'm not saying he's regressing. He's still, can flick of the wrist, throw it 30 yards there, but he's a statue back there pretty much anymore. If you get a solid mobile quarterback and a guy with some high pedigree and some great physical skills and gifts, then he can, put some Band-Aids over those holes on offensive line and defensive line. Quarterback's got to get here, and then you can, see what you hit on and see what you didn't on the defensive line, in my opinion. There, Al. Oh, we got a day oneer here. Flacco in the comment section. Welcome back, Flacco. I want flood the chat today. Oh, well, welcome, Flacco. Echelon again, going all in for me would be realizing You suck at the run, trading for Romeo Doubs and Tyreek Hill. Throw the rock, fix the defense. Romeo Doubs honestly would be a more realistic situation than Tyreek Hill, but the way that Green Bay's humming, who knows if they're going to get rid of any wide receiver right now. They might just say, hey, we got a bunch of a good thing here, unless, some massive hole opens up at another part on our team. We're going to keep just a bunch of what we're good at right now, and that is having some solid wide receivers. Also, Romeo Doubs, is he really going to be the wide receiver too that, we sort of hype ourselves up that he is in trade talks? Exactly, here, Flacco. Who is that guy? Oh, talking about the guy from the Giants. We are going to talk about that right now, Flacco. This is the extra, more Pittsburgh sports news segment of the program. Do want to talk about this. Isaiah Hodgins is who he signed today, former Giants, and wasn't he a former Buffalo Bill too at some point? Anyways, Isaiah Hodgins, who they signed here today. Just a real quick background on Isaiah Hodgins on his Pro Football Reference page. Turns out DK Metcalf and Ben Skoranek, they now have evened up the room on, tall guys and short guys in that room. Hodgins, 6'3", 200 pounds, so he does have good size. In his career, just 60 receptions for 634 yards and 7 touchdowns. Was drafted. Hang on, where did he get drafted out of here? Was drafted in the 6th round by the Bills in 2020. Last year was with the New York Giants. Played just 3 games. Had 2 targets, 2 receptions, 12 yards. I assume then that, he didn't just, not get played anymore. I want to say he got injured there, but I don't know. But I'm trying to scroll here for one thing in particular. And I'm not sure Pro Football Reference has such a thing. I do think Hodgins brings some special teams capabilities. Is he a returner? I don't know, maybe, but does bring, at least size to this room that desperately needs it, that we just talked about. Game changer? No, but at least if DK Metcalf or Ben Skoranek goes down, you at least have a guy who can go in there and not just have your wide receiver room be 6'4" Metcalf and then a bunch of dudes under 5'10". So, all right signing, in my opinion, but nothing groundbreaking. Speaking of groundbreaking, some big news yesterday. I'm sure we already talked about it in some way, shape, or form here already today. Yesterday, two starting quarterbacks suffered injuries around the NFL, who will now not face the Steelers this year. Joe Burrow, turf toe, out for 3 months. Pretty much his year is done. And J.J. McCarthy, I believe he had a high ankle sprain. He's out 2 to 4 weeks. So the Steelers now going up against their backups within the next couple of weeks. Some updates on those backup quarterback situations today. The Cincinnati Bengals, they signed Sean Clifford. We just talked about Drew Aller, former Penn State quarterback Sean Clifford, and Mike White, who was a legend in the NFL world for, I think, about 2 weeks with the New York Jets. Those 2 quarterbacks signed to the Bengals practice squad today. So their quarterbacks on roster or on the practice squad now, in the absence of Joe Burrow, Jake Browning, Brett Rippon, Sean Clifford, and Mike White. And one guy who is not on that list but was a Bengal not too long ago, does anybody remember Desmond Ridder, former quarterback out of Cincinnati? Started his career with the Atlanta Falcons. Then I think bounced around maybe a couple of teams. He signed today with the Minnesota Vikings to their 53-man roster. So I think that is a sign. J.J. McCarthy, his injury is going to keep him out more towards the 4 weeks than the 2 weeks. Ridder now going to be backup to the backup in Carson Wentz, which That's the game I'm probably most worried about because it would be the least surprising thing in the world if the Steelers, that is, make Carson Wentz look like the Carson Wentz of old. Would not surprise me at all. Just wrapping up the extra Pittsburgh sports news here for today. By the way, before I move on to another sport here, speaking of the Minnesota Vikings, it's not quarterback related, but another break for the Steelers when they face the Vikings. Their starting running back, Aaron Jones, former Green Bay Packer, a hamstring injury from him. He is on injured reserve now, so an automatic 4 weeks out for him. So the Steelers, week 4 in Dublin, it's the perfect trap game. Backup quarterback in Carson Wentz starting, no RB1 for the Vikings. Sounds like a perfect game for them to just go out there and inexplicably lose, in my opinion. Like I said, wrapping up the extra Pittsburgh sports news here for the day. Moving over to hockey, just for a couple of quick stories. Elliot Friedman, pretty much the Adam Schefter of the hockey world, dropping news this morning that former Penguins defenseman Matt Grzelcyk is signing a professional tryout contract with the Chicago Blackhawks. Grzelcyk, here just 1 year in the Berg last year, put up 40 points last year, a quiet 40 points, which Friedman and I echo this sentiment. Shocking that Grzelcyk has been unsigned up until this point, but he is officially moved on to the Chicago Blackhawks. Thank you for all you did here, Matt Grzelcyk. Speaking of Grzelcyk in his PTO with Chicago, he's going to try to make his way onto the roster in the preseason. That's a terrible transition by me into another preseason story, and that was the big one we had, I believe, on Friday. Marc-Andre Fleury back in Pittsburgh, going to play one preseason game before he officially retires as the Pittsburgh Penguins. Today, the Pens announcing that they have released more tickets to the public for that game, so you will never see a more filled, probably standing room only sellout preseason game. You will not see something like that for the rest of your life. Fleury, the franchise legend, 3-time Stanley Cup winner, going out on top. Excited to watch that game here on, I believe that's the 27th, so not too far from now. Last two hockey stories here for the day. This one, not related to the Pittsburgh Penguins, but it is Pittsburgh related. Their opening night matchup, they're in Madison Square Garden against the New York Rangers. The Rangers, they now have a new captain, J.T. Miller, I believe Mount Lebanon native, so a Pittsburgh kid, now the captain for the former Penguin head coach Mike Sullivan-led New York Rangers. Lots of Pittsburgh ties in that opening game. And the last thing here for hockey, happy birthday to the new guy, Anthony Mantha. Probably the biggest free agent signing by the Penguins during the offseason, and Mantha probably going to get shipped off at the trade deadline if he has a bounce back year off of injury like I expect him to be. So happy birthday to him. All right, ladies and gentlemen, got a couple more comments here before we pack things up and wrap things up here for the night. Echelon, he's not, but he's got no choice. We got Roman, Scotty, Calvin, and Hodgins trash. Yeah, it is not a good wide receiver room. Try to build if you combine all those guys together, maybe Scotty Miller's special team abilities, Calvin Austin's speed, Roman Wilson's hands, I guess he's got good hands, and Isaiah Hodgins, size. They could build a bear with those four guys, a decent wide receiver too, but you can't just have, one guy have one specific trait. You got to go get a guy to have them all to, fix this issue. Another jobber. What is this? The Brooklyn Brawlers of wide receivers. Man, you know what? Change that. Go get AJ Brown. Reunite him with DK. We good. That one would intrigue me too. Not just the DK portion of that, but reuniting him with Arthur Smith. If you remember, Smith had him when he was the OC down in Tennessee. So that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. He's what, 30? I mean, hey, if he's not getting used there in Philly, why not just take a shot on him here with Aaron Rodgers? And then, hey, if you keep him along, DK Metcalf, AJ Brown, solid wide receiver tandem for your rookie quarterback to throw to. I'll even take Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith, he is nowhere. He is not on the table at all for the Eagles. Third rounder, Romans and Hodgins for AJ. That is very unrealistic. Probably even though AJ Brown has not been as productive as he was in Tennessee with the Eagles. Third rounder. And Roman, maybe. Hodgins, they're probably going to be like, why the hell are you throwing this scrub in there? Yeah, I think the Eagles quickly say no to that offer. But maybe it's different from a year or two or now. Who knows? Going to take one last scroll here through Twitter, see if we have any new pieces of information before we log off here for the night. We do have some moves on the Steelers practice squad. They have released wide receiver Raheem Jarrett and tight end JJ Galbraith. They hosted nearly a dozen players for tryouts, including ex-Steelers tight end Matt Sokol and linebacker Jacoby Windman. So that's probably the biggest changes that they're going to do. Let's have pretty much everyone in the city of Pittsburgh. Have you played football in some way, shape, or form in your lifetime? Do you have a Steelers jersey hanging in your closet? Come down to the Rooney Sports Complex on the south side, and we'll put you through a tryout. See if you can maybe field a catch on the kickoff or something like that. Let's see if we have anything else going on here. The Pirates game, by the way, going as well as you would expect it. Paul Skeens, his final home start of the season, not going good. 2-0. And the Pirates now are just coming to bat. Jared Triolo, the leadoff guy once again. 3-2 pitch and swing and a miss. You saw that one coming from a mile away. Couple other things here. Yikes, I'm just now seeing a post about Paul Skeens' first inning here. 33 pitches. 2 runs given up. His ERA now over 2. Pirates can prevent him from getting a loss and go to 500. Now you just hope that the Pirates can prevent him from getting a loss and going to 500. Oh boy, not a good start. Fits with the current state of Pittsburgh sports. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I think that is going to do it. AJ Brown pay is how much? He signed his deal, 2 years ago or 3 years ago now. Is his pay even in the top 10 anymore amongst the wide receivers? I doubt it. So looking at today's wide receiver market, probably be a, all right, contract to take on. I go there to the field. I go there to field catches. I play D2 football. Hey, can't be any worse than Caleb Johnson, their echelon. Who? Exactly who? It's who they are bringing in on the practice squad. Just throwing everything against the wall and seeing what sticks there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that is going to wrap things up here for this evening. I want to thank you all one last time for joining me here this evening. And I appreciate each and every one of you who have subscribed and who have commented in the comments section. I enjoy interacting with you fine folks that way, really creating a community here on the channel. Love doing so. Flacco now coming in with the contract details of AJ Brown. 3 years, $96 million, $84 in guaranteed money. Yeah, today's money for wide receivers, not bad at all. But that's going to do it. One last time, please subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so that you never miss when I am live again or upload a video again, which SCSR 60 coming up here sometime later on tonight. Like this live stream, share this live stream, comment on it after the fact. Give the channel a follow at Steel City SR on Facebook, Instagram, and X. And we'll be back here tomorrow to break everything down. Thank you all. Have a good rest of your Tuesday night. More to talk about tomorrow, I'm sure. Peace.